Thank you guys for tuning in. What we're doing today is we are doing our in the bag for 2025, and let's just get right into it. We're going to talk about the bag we have. I think it's the BX3 grip bag. It is high on side pocket storage. The middle pouch, I believe, is 16 to 18 discs, and then I have 4 putters up top here. Have a foundation disc golf towel, buzz patch, grip patch. And the positive thing I would say about this bag is it has a lot of storage for other items. You can fit an extra towel here. You have side pockets here for phone, retrievers is on this side. And the buckle on the back is really good for that cross tension, to take tension off your back with the lower stability portion there. Let's go ahead and get started with our putters though. So to start, I putt with PA3s. I like the PA3 fractal line, especially the Isaac Robinson 2-time putters. These have worked great for me and we're sticking with them. Don't fix it if it ain't broke, and the PA3s are working great for me. Throwing putters. So the 2 throwing putters I have an R2 Pixel. Just got this from the Gyrapalooza box and it went straight into my bag because I used to putt with Pixels. I actually liked throwing them a lot though. R2 is slightly overstable right now for me. I know I do release on a little bit of hyzer, but we are keeping in the bag. It's my go-to straight disc. And the Pixels glide. They have a lot of glide, honestly. It's a 2.4. It's probably 2.4.5. I mean, these things stay in the air forever, and they tend to go a little bit farther than you think, especially with throwing. So I've really enjoyed this. Just aced with it the other day on a 200-foot hole, but the Pixel is going to be staying in as my straight throwing putter. And then my understable throwing putter is the Electron Watt. This is from the Circuit Challenge, 2024 Circuit Challenge. So I really recommend getting a Fission Watt if you don't have one. This is a great disc to get that nice fade to the right with. We can go into approach discs. We'll start with this one. Is the A5 400 Ultra Soft Glow. If you see me throw this on the channel, I call this the Jelly. This is an extremely gummy blend of plastic, but in the winter, it is still gummy, but feels really good for forehand approaches. It's definitely a straighter zone, and especially with the gummy plastic, it's very straight, and it's actually becoming more of a point and shoot disc for me. This will probably be swapped out with a zone when it heats up, just because it will become too gummy in the summer. That's why it's in the bag. It's our zone slot right now. Next, we have 2 other approach discs here. Zone OS will always be in the bag. This is a Foundation Brody Tour Series ESP Swirl Zone OS. My favorite approach disc. So we just have kept this in the bag. It's one of my staples in the bag, I believe. But I would recommend never throwing this backhand. I've never really thrown the Zone OS backhand, and for good reason. I think it's, in my opinion, solely a forehand approach disc, just because of how easy the angles are to manipulate with it. With a backhand, I think it dumps out too quick. Zone OS is still in the bag. Now we have the Halo Toro. We added this one. This is a Halo Christmas Toro, and I've really been enjoying this. It's definitely in between my 2 forehand approach discs. It goes a little bit farther than the Zone OS, but it is a little bit more overstable than our A5 over there. In comparison between the Zone OS, this is a disc that you have the ability to backhand, in my opinion, whereas the Zone OS is too overstable, and it is in the bag for 2025. So hopping into mid-ranges, I only have 3 mids in my bag right now. We put the Pathfinder is back in the bag for forehands, and this was in my bag for a while. It left for the Echo, but the Echo was a little bit too understable for me, so then we put our Pathfinder back in. This is our straight mid. It's 5501. It's in the Aura plastic from Thought Space Athletics for kind of our straight forehand mid-range. Then we have a Pyro. So the Pyro is a really good overstable mid-range. This is the Halloween Fission version, so it beats in a little bit, but very good Very good overstable mid-range for forehand and backhand. I definitely recommend the Pyro. And then if you didn't watch my video, my #1 mold for 2024 is the Detour. In 2024, when I first started out and got the Detour, I was throwing it very straight, especially for like my arm speed and my highs release angle. This was my straightest disc. It was point and shoot. As our form got better and our arm speed started to increase, this became my understable mid-range. And it is a very good understable mid-range for the fact that I would say it goes straight, but then it starts to drift. Not necessarily turn, but drift to the right. If I were to recommend one disc out of my bag, I will have to give it to the Detour. This disc, if you can find them, I feel like everyone has one, knows about it, has tried it. It's not for everyone. I know faster arm speeds turn this over extremely fast, but for your neutral arm speed, it's definitely more understable. And for beginners or people that release on hyzer for hyzer flips, this is the disc to go to, in my opinion. Let's go into fairways. So we will start off with the FD. This is another disc that is a point and shoot. I would say this should be a lot of people's first driver, in my opinion. I think this disc is very good for beginners and for straight shots. Mine's getting a little flippy. It's 7601, but it actually goes a lot farther than you would think. We got this on the Foundations U section, and this has been kind of my point and shoot, dead straight fairway disc. Take a look at the FD if you haven't. Then the Maverick. This is my understable fairway. This is flippy now. Out of the box, it was kind of stable, but it's minus 1.52. And this is the Icy Mav. So we have two icy discs. Hand feel the Maverick feels good. Definitely my backhand fairway. I don't think I've thrown this forehand really, but this is a good hyzer flip and then understable with a slight fade at the end. Good disc from Dynamic Disc in the Fusion plastic. Then we have the Athena. This one's getting more beat in, and this is actually flying as my overstable fairway. And I've actually really enjoyed throwing this beat in Z Athena. I would say get an Athena in ESP if you want a little bit straighter with less finish. But this Athena is my go-to forehand fairway as well. This is for forehand, your straight like point and shoot, I would say. This doesn't actually fade back as much, but it's a better feeling T-bird. I hate to say that, it's my preference though, but in the hand for forehand, its profile feels better to me. The last fairway I have is the Raptor. I don't think the Raptor will ever leave my bag. This is my favorite forehand disc, very controllable driver. And so it's a 9-speed. I have a bunch of different plastics. This one's the ESP just because it's cold out, but this is actually beating into more of a straighter disc. It's turning into a Thunderbird-ish flight, but it's still got that 3 finish, which I like, but the initial flight is getting very straight, which is good. ESP Flex Raptor. Let's just get into our drivers now. Let's go from lower speed to higher speed. The Trail from MVP. If you get your hands on Trail, you will enjoy it a lot, in my opinion. For MVP, this is, I think, probably their best driver, honestly. This is I think it's a 10.5 -1.1. And I think that's true. This thing is like a dead straight, a longer crave. Very good disc in my opinion. It's in the bag for a good reason. It's kind of my straight control driver, and that's the slot it fills. So we are keeping this in the bag. Then we have our slightly overstable disc. This is a drive. This is a really good disc. It left my bag for a little bit and then I put it back in. I don't know why I left my bag. I throw this disc very good forehand and backhand. It's not as overstable as like a Wraith, and so definitely check it out if you're looking for something that doesn't finish as hard as the Wraith. They tend to come out a little bit thinner from the ones I've found, like their profile, comparatively to the Wraith. So not a bad pickup if you're looking for something that's a little bit shallower, in my opinion. But that's the drive. Then we have the Gorgon. I actually skipped over this one. This is my understable driver. The Gorgon flips more than you would think. The feel on the rim for my hand feels great. And so for forehands and for backhands, this could just be the Glow Champion Plastic, but this disc is definitely my understable driver. So those are kind of like your control drivers, I would say. 12 speeds and up are going to be more of your distance, but the workhorse of the bag right now is a Destroyer. As someone who's been throwing a Destroyer from the start, because I bought into the let me throw a Destroyer, it's the best driver ever. It was extremely overstable for me, and I threw it forehands like all the time. And so I still throw this forehand a lot, but it's becoming more of a backhand and a forehand as I get better. And so please don't have expectations that this is going to be your max distance disc. Start with a Wraith, and honestly, a Wraith is straighter than the Destroyer. It flips way more, but also don't feel like you don't have to get a Destroyer in my opinion, but don't expect it to be your max distance disc. Throw it and what it does, take it for what it does for that arm speed that you have. And as someone who's kind of worked with that, I would say definitely the move there. But got the Destroyer. And now for our actual overstable distance driver, we have the Excalibur. This is getting a little beat in, but this is extremely overstable, but faster than your Raptor. This is a fast disc, and I take this and I chuck it if I need some extreme right angle, distance-ish forehand shots, but it's really just a faster Raptor type slot for me for a forehand. So got that in the bag, and then save the best for last. G-Star Halo Ferro. This is a 13.6 -1.2, my max distance disc. I throw this the farthest I've ever thrown any disc, and it turns and flips for me. I will tell everybody to go get this disc. It's similar to the Detour. I just recommend this disc. A lot of the discs in my bag I recommend. I've thrown a lot of discs as well as like a very amateur player. And it's poppy in the middle. You can get them in lighter weights. I have an orange one that's even flippier than this. This flight right now is probably a -2.2 to be honest, but that's okay because the amount of hyzer I throw this on, I know it's gonna flip and turn. If I throw it flat, you'll see it will drift and come back. S-Line max distance. This is my favorite distance driver right now. It's hard to say something bad about this because I have a lot of shorts on. I have a lot of shorts on this channel of me just throwing this disc and getting 400 feet with it. And this was the first disc. I think I might have thrown a Destroyer over 400, but on flat ground, this was my first 400 breaking disc. And so it's hard to say not to get this disc and throw it. Extremely great disc, especially not the Star. This is G-Star Halo. Don't get Star Halo. Star Halo is your more overstable. That's it for the in the bag. Thank you.